What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Harbor Music YouTube page. This is something that we've been working on for a while and really excited to finally roll it out in 2025. I woke up this morning and realized that it has been 10 years that my good buddy Tyler Armstrong and I have been sort of doing music together directly and indirectly. And so just wanted to have a conversation, sort of reflect on the biggest things that we've learned over the past decade of hanging out with each other.
I'd say at this point, the first thing that comes to mind of the three main things I've learned is that things are not a linear trajectory. Um, Sometimes things feel like they're going super well. Sometimes they feel like, man, nothing's really going on right now. Um, and I don't know which I would say has happened more over 10 years. All of it is a positive trajectory, the way you look at it. But there's definitely times I didn't have gigs for a year, or a couple of year when doing original music. But that was the kind of thing. So set your expectations that you're doing this for a reason. Everyone wants to be heard by a million people, but if one person heard it, yourself, that could be satisfying enough.
So I would say probably not the greatest, but one of the most important lessons that I've learned and that I've seen is just simple execution. A lot of us, myself included, are like dreamers and ideas come kind of easy to us, or we sit around and we think about a lot of things, but often that first step is very hard, but then the second, third, fourth step become, basically non-existent. And I think there has to be this intentionality on execution, like getting the thing done. Perhaps there's this like fear of, well, I don't want to do it until it's perfect or it's as good as X, Y, or Z. But man, that that like fear or irrational fear is prohibiting a lot of progress. Of course, like the first time you try writing a song, it's not going to be great, but it's the 50th song that's probably going to be pretty good. Or the first time you pick up an instrument and try and learn a scale or whatever it may be. So I think that musicians and artists have to be in tune with how they're executing on a day in and day out basis, especially bands. You can't just be scheming up these ideas and these plans, and you've got your notes and you've got all of your calendar laid out, but there's not the intentionality of like, okay, what am I going to do to actually put these things in place? And that execution is a snowball. It's like, oh, okay, I got this thing done, now I'm moving on to the next.
The second thing probably is like a major one that everyone dealing, especially with social media, is going to encounter is that trends majorly come and go. But the thing that cannot come and go is your work ethic and how hard you're working. Now, what you're working on might look different from day to day, month to month, month to year, but as long as you're still growing, that is the point. If you're progressing, if you find something to work on, if whether that's writing a song or starting a band or learning how to move within these trends, that is such a massive thing. It goes back to the expectation thing of like, man, this is working, but now it's not. So what can I do to have the next thing work? So that definitely does not end.
I would say another incredibly important lesson that I've learned is just about simple proficiency. There's this idea that like, okay, once I have this skill set that I developed when I was younger, or I have a college degree or whatever it may be, it's like, okay, now I'm qualified to do this thing. And I think that's a fallacy. I just there's no room for not practicing your instrument, and or just kind of resting on what you're able to do sort of naturally. Every time, at least for me personally, that I feel like I hit like a milestone in my practice, or I'm able to do something I wasn't able to do, I'm just much more aware of how many more levels there are to go. And I don't necessarily like to think of it so linearly like that, but you just start to realize, man, there are there are so many more miles to cover, so much more that I can learn and that I can incorporate into what I'm doing. And to just simply rest on like my skill set that's available to me now is a real bummer, because there's never a time where it's okay to not be learning or not improving, because there's always something more you can get. And I think, to sum it up, just practice a lot. When you're not playing a gig, or you're not in the studio, or you're not doing, anything where you're professionally um, doing music, you've got to find this rhythm of like, I want to get better at my craft.
The third thing is so personal to me, and it might not apply to other people, but um, there's so many things in life that people have an identity with, and that becomes who they are. And I, music is not my life. Music is something I do within my life, and it just so happens to be what I was blessed with to um, potentially excel at. And what I take from music is that I love it, and I express artistic expression with that, and it's fun and it sounds good, and there's nothing like it. But it's really my vehicle to express how I feel inside and spiritually, and what I believe, why we're actually here. So what I learned is that, music is not my life, it's how I can talk about life.
I'd say the third thing is just a real determination and perseverance through any obstacles that sort of come your way. And that's a bit of a life lesson as well. But particularly in the music industry, you are going to receive hundreds of no's before you ever receive a yes or an opportunity. And just that resolve to say, okay, I will not be beaten. I will not like allow this to, lessen my desire to pursue this thing. I think those are the types of people, and those are the bands or the producers or whatever it may be, that actually have a fighting chance at making a career out of this. And that's actually strictly professional. I resonate with what you said about, music at the end of the day is not my identity, or not our identity. It's something that we get to do to express ourselves. But there is a handful of people that do want to make this a career, and you have to develop that resolution within you that, like, I will not be taken off this path. I'm going to find a way for people to hear these songs, or to pay my bills doing this, or whatever it may be. I think that's extremely important to find that inside of you, as you navigate, the music industry, or whatever you want to call it. Thank you so much for watching. If you wouldn't mind, drop us a comment and a like, and go ahead and subscribe to the page. We're going to be doing videos like this on a weekly basis, just dropping conversations like we just had, and then some educational content as well. Just want to give folks an inside look at a group of people who are really trying to do something cool in their town, with music, and running a record label and a recording studio, and kind of some inside looks at how bands operate and lessons we've learned along the way. So appreciate it. We'll see you back soon.